There's one mistake that so many Americans are making at payday, which is not only destroying your finances, it's keeping so many Americans poor. And no, it's not missing the contribution to your 401k or not investing for retirement. It's much worse than that. Take a look. I was reading an article on Startup Info titled How Millennials Are Approaching Payday Loans. And the first line of the article reads, in recent years, millennials have increasingly turned to payday loans as a financial bridge to navigate short-term cash flow challenges. The thing that so many people get wrong about payday loans is you might feel like it's not that big of a deal because you just pay this little fee and then you can get the money to go and pay for your groceries or pay for your rent and not have to pay late fees. But there's a lot of hidden costs that most people don't really understand about payday loans. Not to mention the fact that the use of payday loans has been booming. I started to dig a little bit deeper and it turns out the payday lending business has been a booming industry, especially amongst young people recently across the United States. Here's how payday loans really work. Let's assume that you get paid on the 1st and the 15th of every month, but now it's the 7th of the month and you're running out of money and you got some bills to pay. You got to make a car payment and you got to get some groceries. So you need some money quickly. And if you don't make these payments quickly, well, then you're going to be hit with late penalties and other fines. So now you go to a payday lender and you go and you borrow just a small $500. And they tell you that if you want to borrow $500, all you have to do is pay us back in 2 weeks and pay us a $75 fee. Now, if you pay them back in 2 weeks, no big deal because you're going to get paid on the 15th, so you're going to get the money to pay them back, and it's just a 75% fee. I mean, if you do the math, that is a 15% interest. Not too bad because if you put it on your credit card, it might cost you 20% interest. But this is where I want you to dig a little bit deeper and really understand the consequences here. This is a 15% interest that you're paying on a 2-week loan. If you amortize this loan, this $500 that you're borrowing over the course of a year with these types of fees, that means actually the APR on your loan is close to 400%. And you have some payday lender companies that are now charging upwards of 2,000% APR annual interest if you amortize the fees that you'd have to pay over the course of a year. But that's just the beginning. Not only are you going to be paying insane interest rates to borrow this money, which is making somebody else rich at your expense, but what happens to so many people is as soon as you get that first payday loan, now you feel like it's an okay thing to do. Now, next month, the exact same thing happens. And now you got to go and borrow another $500, maybe $600, maybe $700. And now it becomes a brand new cycle where every single month you have to go and borrow some money just to make ends meet, instead of actually fixing the root cause of your problem. Because now whenever comes time for you to build wealth, you can't do it because you're constantly relying on payday loans just to have food to eat. And when you're relying on payday loans to pay for your bills, you will never have a chance to actually be financially free yourself. And this is where now you have to make the difficult decision of figuring out how do you break out of this mess? Because yes, it is possible, but it requires you to do 5 things. Number 1, and the most difficult, is I want you to stop spending money on things that you do not need. Stop going to the mall and spending money there. Stop buying the expensive groceries. Stop going out and buying all the clothes. I need you to stop spending money on things that you don't need and find ways to put aside $50, then $100, then $500, then $1,000. You have to figure out how you can stop spending money, because the easiest way to have more money is to stop letting money leave your bank account. And this one's going to be difficult because a lot of times we get accustomed to thinking we have to buy things, thinking we have to be able to go out to eat with our friends on Friday night, thinking we have to be able to go to the club or the party at Saturday, thinking we have to go and buy gifts for the wedding we have to go to. Say no to these events for a little while, because if you're going to the payday loans to make ends meet, you are in a financial danger zone. And right now you have to start prioritizing your own financial health, and that means saying no to the things that are hurting your financial health. Number 2 is I want you to go on a selling spree. Figure out what you can sell around you from your apartment or your house. Walk around, see what is there that's collecting dust that you don't need, whether it's clothes, whether it's electronics, whether it's other equipment or furniture. Figure out what it is that you don't need right now that you can turn into cash. And it might even be things that you're financing. If you're financing that expensive car that's taking the expensive gas, that has the expensive maintenance, that has the expensive insurance, sell it. Put that money in your pocket, drive around in a car that you can buy without any payments. That way you have some extra money in your pocket. Figure out what there is around you that you can sell, because right now you have to get more cash so that we can build a savings cushion and a cash buffer. If you don't have a couple $1,000s saved in your savings account, there's really no way for you to ever build any wealth, because anytime something bad happens, and guess what? Bad things will happen because that's life. You will always have to go to debt. You'll always have to go to the payday loans. You'll always have to turn to your credit cards in order to make ends meet. And you'll never be able to ever become wealthy if you're constantly worried about just making ends meet. So you got to figure out how you can put aside $2,000 in your savings account to protect you against emergencies. Not $2,000 to go on a shopping spree, $2,000 to protect you against bad things happening as fast as possible. Number 3 is I want you to take a look at your bills, and I want you to renegotiate your bills. What that means is I want you to take a look at your credit card statements and see what type of subscription services you have. Is it internet? Is it your phone bill? Is it your cable bill? And then I want you to call these companies and see if they have any new promotions, see if their competitors are offering new promotions. That way you can get your bills reduced, because what happens with all these companies, all these subscriptions, is every single year they're going to slowly jack up your prices, and they're going to hope that you don't say anything. But this is where it's time for you to start saying something, because what can happen is many times these companies will be willing to renegotiate your bills lower while not even disrupting your service. That means you don't have to sacrifice anything, and you get to keep more money in your pocket every single month. Every time I've talked about doing this, I always get some comments from people saying, "Oh my God, I never thought about doing this, and now I'm putting more money in my pocket every single month." And the second part of renegotiating your bills is I want you to go through your statements and figure out what it is that you can cancel. If you're broke and you have a monthly massage membership, you have a problem. If you're broke and you're spending $500 a month at Saks, you have a problem. If you're broke and you're spending $600 a month eating out at restaurants, you have a problem. And I want you to go through your bills and just take a look at what it is that you can start cutting out. Because what happens to a lot of people is when you don't look at your credit card statements, when you don't look at all of your expenses, you forget about some of the subscriptions that you have. And they just keep charging you and charging you and charging you for a service that you didn't even know that you were still paying for. Number 4, I'm going to start this one with a disclaimer, because if you don't like me now, you are definitely not going to like me after this. But number 4 is I want you to cancel your Netflix subscription. And the reason why I want you to cancel your subscription is not so you can save $10 or $15 a month or however much it is, but so you can save 2 hours of your life every single day. If you are broke, if you're struggling with money, if you're going to get payday loans, you should not be spending that time watching Netflix. It makes absolutely no sense for you to be sitting there comfortably, sleeping 8 hours a day, watching Netflix before you go to sleep, when you got bills that need to be paid, when you got payday loans that need to be paid. Now, I know this is coming out harsh, but I want you to understand this is coming from a point of love, because the reality is when you are struggling with money, the most valuable asset, the most valuable commodity, the most valuable thing that you have is your time. And if you're spending your time giving it to Netflix, watching shows that are adding no value to your life, you are killing your opportunity to become wealthy. You are killing your opportunity to become financially free. You're killing your opportunity to break out of this system. And so what I want you to do is stop giving this time to Netflix and give this time back to yourself. And what I mean by giving this time back to yourself is, number 1, start watching educational videos on YouTube. Start listening to educational podcasts, because these things are not going to cost you anything else. You're already watching this video. That's a great first step. The second thing I want you to do is start spending a little bit of money. And when I say spending a little bit of money, I mean start reading books. And not just reading any books, start reading educational books, whether it's about money management, or starting a business, or startups, or biographies of successful people, or how to manage people, or how to advance in your career. I want you to start reading books. If you start spending your time, instead of watching Netflix, to start learning, I guarantee you, in 6 months, you're going to look at money and life completely differently. 6 years from now, you're going to be in a completely different financial situation because of what you're putting in your brain. If you sit there rotting in that same environment, watching the same TV shows, struggling about bills, hating your boss, hating your work, hating your boss, hating your work, hating how much money you're making, hating the financial thing that you're in, you got to get yourself out of that. And the way that you can get yourself out of that is not by complaining. It's not by sitting there and hoping that it's going to happen. It's not by sitting there praying that it's going to happen. It's by actually doing something. And that means starting by changing what you learn, changing the way you think. Now look, I'm not against prayer. go ahead and pray, but you got to take action. Your prayers are not going to change what you do. You got to go out and start learning, and you got to start taking action on what you learn. And this is where I want you to please understand that your Netflix is killing your brain cells, and I want you to do something that's growing your brain cells and also growing your bank account. The fifth thing that I want you to do is now figure out how you can go out and earn more money. And the reason why I put it at number 5 here is because if you started working to earn more money first, what would end up happening, statistically, we've seen this happen time and time again, is if you went out to earn more money before you knew how to use your money, most people statistically would go out and spend that money on a new watch, on a new car, on a new home, on a new vacation. Most people are working to earn money to buy more nice things, which puts you in the exact same situation which got you here in the first place. And this is where now, if you want to break out of the system, you have to understand how to use your money first. Once you know how to use your money, start changing your environment, this is where having more money will allow you to build more wealth. Now, as you start to earn more money, this is where now you can be smarter with your money. You can start saving some money, and that's when you can start learning about how to invest your money. Now, of course, if you want to learn how to invest, that's a whole different world of financial education. But you don't need to worry about investing your money until you can get rid of the payday loans. Once you get rid of the payday loans, now you can start thinking about more of how do I invest my money and how do I grow my wealth? Because investing is about growing your wealth. This is all about building that foundation. This is what's going to allow you to invest more money. But you have to know how to lay the foundation first before you go and start putting money in the stock market, trying to get a 5, 6, or 7% return, maybe a 10% return, when you're paying 400% interest to your payday loan company. Now, if you do want to learn more about financial education and how to invest, my team at Briefs Media put together a free ebook. Let me show you. Right here, a free ebook on how to build wealth as an investor. This starts from the basics of how do you save your first couple $1,000s, and how do you build a mindset of a successful investor, to then how do you invest your money, how do you generate cash flow, to how do you earn more money, to how do you spend more money smartly, and how do you protect your assets. There is a ton of value in this ebook, and you can read this ebook for free. All you got to do is click the link down in the description below. But what I want you and need you to understand is that the way that you break out of the financial system of constantly making everybody else rich, of constantly feeling like you're broke, of constantly feeling like you're chasing money, of constantly feeling like you're having to go to work just to pay yesterday's bills, is you got to start by controlling the spending. And once you can control the spending, then you can build a little bit of a savings cushion. Once you can build a little bit of a savings cushion, you're going to be able to breathe a whole lot better. Then it's all about money management. How do you spend your money smartly? And then it's about how to use your time smartly. Once you can learn how to use your time smartly, now we start talking about how can you earn more money. But you have to stop playing this game of constantly trying to chase the next paycheck, because when you're always trying to chase the next paycheck, you're going to always look for some solution to make ends meet before the next paycheck. And that's what's keeping so many Americans broke. And it's so unfortunate because, well, you have a lot of businesses that prey on people being financially stupid, and this is where it is your job to start building the financial education. That way you can start building your own wealth instead of making everybody else around you rich. Most people think that the way you get rich is by buying real estate. You've probably heard the phrase, more millionaires are made in real estate than anything else. But that's not true. You don't get rich by buying real estate. And in this video, I'm going to show you the real reasons why rich people buy real estate and why you can use the same strategies that they do. Growing up, I had no idea